you're still just a consumer. But now even worse, you are a subconscious or completely unconscious. Hi Harmony Cultivators, in the spirit of late summer and digestion, I thought I would have a conversation or rant with you guys talking all about nutrition, following diets religiously, and vitamins. These kind of tend to come up a lot of times when people are first learning about Chinese medicine and food energetics and trying to just eat for well-being. And so I really wanted to touch on a few of these. It's going to be maybe a little bit controversial, so make sure you stick around for everything just to get a better picture of what we are discussing. So one of the funny things that I find about when people kind of enter this like alternative medicine community, very often I find that these people, tend to consider themselves more spiritual and are very kind of anti-religious, right? Or being religious or religion in general. And what's interesting about this, or I guess also kind of makes me laugh, is that, really these people will consider themselves not religious, but so much of their understanding or rituals, especially around food, are very religious-like. Kind of makes me ask the question, what makes you think that you're not religious? One of the things that makes me think about this, kind of the idea of food purity. Sometimes when we get into the natural health, right, people will get almost kind of obsessive about food purity and, is this 100% organic and has this ever been sprayed? And I understand those kind of sentiments because you really want to strive to do your best and eat well and not overload your system with toxins. However, I find that a lot of times that this will get taken to a point that is very unhealthy. People will bring every single meal packed anywhere they go. They don't eat or they don't allow their children to eat shared meals with other people, in fear. And I'm not talking about very severe food allergies, right, where someone gets a peanut, they're gonna die. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the relatively, normal people who don't have severe allergies, who are just very religiously following their diet, whether it's Weston Price, right, which is a huge one in the natural health community, or paleo, keto, or whatever the other ones that are trendy right now. They get very strict and very obsessive, and they will not step outside these certain guidelines or rules. And I mean, that is kind of almost the definition of a religion where, you have commandments, or you have these rules, or you have this doctrine that you have to follow, and you cannot step outside of this. So it's kind of this strange duality of, well, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. But then so much, like I said, of their rituals or ideas and habits around eating tend to be religious-like. When it gets to the point, like I said, where not because of deadly food allergies, these people are unable to participate in meals. And I'm not Christian myself, I don't have a Christian background. However, I've studied multiple religions on my own, and the Bible says that we should be breaking bread with our family, our neighbors, our community, our church, or whoever. And I find that food, especially across cultures, right, is such an important meeting time, and sharing in a meal is very important to us as humans, and participating in the same foods, sharing foods, having a single table. And it's very common in other cultures, right, that you have actually a single shared meal, whether it's a type of soup or some type of stir fry or noodles or whatever it is. You have one dish as a center plate, and then everyone eats from the single plate, right? Or sometimes they'll put it onto their own small individual plate, but they're all pulling from this one collective. Spiritually, or however you want to understand this, is that sharing of food and it being the same food, not just everyone bringing their own food to the table and then eating their own individual food, but sharing in that food, partaking in that same meal, really has the ability to bring people together, and not just a family at dinner time, but like I said, when we're going out to eat with our friends or our community, that idea of sharing in a single shared specific plate or meal is very important spiritually and physically as well. And I also kind of want to address the idea of this obsession, right, of it not necessarily being 100% about health, or it's sometimes morphing into this negative thing where we can't do it or it gives us anxiety to do, right? And really, if you look at this kind of conception in Chinese medicine, this is kind of like a parasite, or slightly demonic, if you will, even, because there's this idea attached to you that feeding off of your energy and feeding off of your, your mind energy, or whatever you want to call it, but this obsession or kind of spiritual field parasite, if you will, is probably not something that we really want to cultivate, but I think can very easily happen once people start talking about food and being healthy or really encouraging well-being. And another thing that I would like to address is kind of this concept that, you know, if they can convince you that the keto diet is right, or if they can convince you that paleo is right, or Weston Price, or Atkins, or whatever it is, or even that, you know, we need certain vitamins and minerals, you know, because you're lacking them, or because you need them, or you need so much of them, or protein, or probiotics. Not only can they convince you of anything, but they can also now control you in convincing you to buy anything. And this is so important in my opinion, because when we forego our individual experience in return for this kind of materialism or scientism, if you will, they can now successfully make a commodity or a product out of seemingly anything. And they will make a product out of everything if they can do it. When they can convince you that all these teeny tiny particles that are very compartmentalized into, you know, vitamin A, vitamin D, this and that all these vitamins individually are all that matter, with zero thought to the spiritual aspects of food or eating, we're kind of getting into trouble. And this really kind of goes into, with Weston Price, into the belief that we've destroyed the earth, we've used up all the nutrients, it's climate change, it's the agendas, whatever you want to say. You know, nothing's nutritious anymore, nothing, not even the food that's growing in your garden because you've, you know, grown them for too many years. And yes, I understand, crop rotation, all that. But when we really kind of feed into this idea and forget about the rest, and we're just looking at vitamins and minerals and things that we can see under only a microscope, you know, they now need to give us pills or vitamins and supplements, and these are just more things to buy. These are more things to obsess about. And now they can perfect it, and they can give us exactly, you know, every vitamin that we need in a certain dose. And this gets into the territory, is a gateway for us to eventually accept them to feed us these perfectly portioned and advertised and balanced meals in the kids' squeeze packs. Right now they have these like the applesauce packs, or they have now, you know, every other food for kids that come in a little pouch, and it's a whole meal in a thing. And eventually this is what they want to get all of us, including adults, onto, because then we're easily, they can now duel out our 3 squeeze packs a day, and that's what we have to eat, and that's what they're going to deem as being not only, you know, good for us, right, because everything that they do is good for us, but also that it's good for the earth, it's better for everyone, it's equal, it's fair, everybody gets the same amount, everybody's getting the proper nutrition. So really these are kind of territory that we might want to tread very lightly and skeptically. You know, you still see it very pushed in, you know, prenatal vitamins, right? Even the most natural people will still encourage, right, a mother to take prenatal vitamins or multivitamins, right? You need to have everything covered, and we have it all perfectly portioned in one pill you can just take every day. Or what really kills me, right, when we start talking about the environment is, oh, we have 300 pounds of carrots in one bottle, and it's like, you couldn't have thought of any other use of 300 pounds of carrots other than putting it in a American bottle of multivitamins, when we could have used that 300 pounds to actually feed people and not just deduce it into a bottle that you probably don't even need. And I find that this obsession around, you know, being nourished and, you know, having enough nutrition or the right nutrition has really become kind of a neurosis even. You know, just this idea that, you know, even in the Western world we're starving because we don't get enough magnesium. We don't get enough vitamin X to support our tooth health, right, in Weston Price. When really the reality is that we are overnourished, especially in the Western world. We're eating too much. We are consuming way too much sugar, right, which is a very nourishing food, believe it or not. So we kind of have a misconception, I would say, in the Western world of what, you know, what nourishment really is. But when we're overnourished, we do see things like tooth decay, and it's from overnourishment. I kind of want to put this idea or image in your head to maybe better describe it, is when you see rot or mold happening in your garden, when your plants or soil have been overwatered, they're too moist, or it's, you know, too stagnant, you know, there's not enough maybe heat to get things moving and evaporated. So it's too wet, or in Chinese medicine terms, too damp, and it's not from lack of nutrients and minerals and vitamins. Just really something I really just kind of want to encourage to really reflect on and think about, and maybe playing around more with your ideas of food and eating. And another thing that I find to be unfortunate when people really have the right intention to better their health or encourage well-being in their life and harmony is that when they start following a specific diet, like I mentioned earlier, is that you have now become an advertising agency for that diet. And I find that people who follow even these healthy diets love to tell or share how much that they love the diet that they're on, right? And it blows my mind because it's like this very subtle but powerful control over them. You're not only just advertising that diet's beliefs or doctrine, so even if you're not selling, low fat this or zero sugar this or whatever, you're now selling cod liver oil, butter oil, magnesium, or whatever else they have put you under their apparently convincing sales pitch. It's kind of the idea that everything in this world is an offer and it's only true if you accept that offer. So at the end of the day, even though you're following a healthy or better diet, you're still just a consumer. But now even worse, you are a subconscious or completely unconscious advertising agent for XYZ. And do we want to bring that kind of unconsciousness around our food, around eating? And that's personally why I like Chinese medicine, is because Chinese medicine has an outline of appropriate foods that we should be eating at different times of year or for different constitutions, right, body type. But there is no face, there is no leader of Chinese medicine. It's really about experimenting and your personal experience and reaction, I guess you could say, to foods and to timing, and really find your own personal individual balance in food and eating. So there's no morality or, you must do this and you can never eat that. Chinese medicine doesn't care what you do or what you eat. However, it can predict your health and well-being. And I really would just want to also put out there that even natural supplements or organic ones really completely destroy your ability to eat intuitively and totally disregards your innate intelligence to tune into yourself and pay attention to your body's reactions, pay attention to how you're feeling and what you're consuming. So it really comes down to just stop using Google and asking what you should or shouldn't be eating, or what foods have, this vitamin, or what vitamins you need. Because if you just start eating and pay attention to your experience and your reactions, this really exercises your ability to be human and to know what to eat when and when to stop and what your cravings mean. The minute you start abdicating your food, well-being, or other choices and experiences for what Google has to say, you're pretty much done for. So really having this desire and responsibility to come back to your experience, yourself, and your food, and pay attention. We don't need to just be passive consumers where we're living in this kind of unconscious or subconscious place. We want to be conscious. We want to be in this moment, right? Especially in Chinese medicine, we want to live in harmony and be conscious of this moment, because that's all that really is. So I would really love to hear everyone's thoughts on today's topic. Thanks for watching.